This is the training tutorial on the FSU School of Theater Scene Shop cold cut saw. This is our cold cut saw. It is a saw for cutting through steel. It's next to the steel cutting area for that reason. When you're using this tool, you need to be safe in your operations. It is a pretty substantial tool. First thing you will need to do is make sure you have the right vise setup here. Recommended cutting setups are listed behind the machine. Some of them will require a vise setup with this operation here, where it's got the diamond shape to it, and others will require just the flat piece, and it's got the flat cut there for it. Notice also the recess here. This matches this side because there's a jut out on the bottom, so this piece will fit right here, and it's got the correct angle orientation to be able to clear the blade if the blade's set at an angle going this way. Make sure when you set these vise pieces in place that you adjust them in or out based on your best setup. If you're cutting an angle, they may need to go out on one side or come in on another side. So pay attention to that, make sure you have a good setup. All of the tools you will need are kept here. There's a drawer where these are kept, so all of that's available to you. Once you got your piece, mark where it needs to be cut. You can position it in the vise, check before you begin a cut, make your adjustments before you get started. If you need to set an angle, you need to undo this knob here, and then you can push the head of the saw to the angle that you need to go to. There is a scale represented down here, and at this point where I'm pointing, there is an indication mark. This is set at 90 degrees now, so the saw, important to note that the saw starts at 90 and goes out from 90. Different from the miter saws, which start at 0 and then go from 0. So this one starts at 90. Once you have your angle set, lock this handle back into place, and then you're ready to position your material. Lock your material in with the vise, and then one hand, your right hand up on the handle of the tool to operate the trigger. Your other hand is going to be holding the material with the vise. Do not apply additional pressure. It could break the blade. Keep the vise where it is and keep your material secure. When you're ready to cut, keep the blade outside of the material first. Start the tool and check to see that lubrication is flowing. This is a lubricating tool. It has a reservoir of a water-based lubricant that coats the blade, coats the material you're cutting through. You want to make sure that there's a good amount of lubrication, but that it's not spraying everywhere. If you need to adjust how much lubrication there is, there's a control right here, so you can open or close that. If there's not lubrication flowing and there's not enough in the reservoir, you can see by eyeballing down through here, there's additional lubrication kept in the flammables cabinet, or you might need to mix some more, and then there's an entry port at the front. So when you're ready to make your cut, you've got it secured in, lubrication is flowing, come down all the way through the material, let the tool do the work, don't force the cut. It will go pretty quickly. It's a good tool as long as the blade is sharp. There are additional blades if we need to change the blade. And then once you're finished with the cut, control the arm of the tool to bring the body back gently. Don't let it go. That's a very heavy motor on the back of this, and it could cause damage. When you're finished with your cut, you release the handle, the trigger, and it stops moving. Undo the vise and remove the material from the cutting area. If you've set to an angle, set it back to 0 for the next person. You don't have to change the vices. They may require the same cutting setup, so you can leave those set where they are. Make sure at all times you keep the hands clear of the rotating blades and from the pinch hazard that could come from the vise. This has been the FSU School of Theater Scene Shop training tutorial on the cold cut saw.